In this lecture, we'll implement the PatientCheckoutLambda. This is the Lambda function that will receive a S3 notification when this file is uploaded to a S3 bucket. And once we receive that notification, we'll use the S3 API that AWS gives us to read this as a S3 object. We'll point an input stream to this using the S3 API. We'll read it, then use the object mapper and convert it into a Java object or a list of Java objects. So we'll divide it into two steps. The first step is to handle the event S3. Event is the POJO that comes with the events in pom.xml. You already know about it. This AWS Lambda Java events has this S3 event as well. Call it event. Once we receive an event, this event will have records. The S3 event will have notification records, S3 event notification records, which is a list dot for each. We'll loop through it, although we have only one in this case. Call it record, and you can define your logic using a Lambda function. If you say record dot get bucket or get S3 first, get S3 will give us the S3 entity inside that record. Dot get bucket dot get name will give us the bucket name. Dot get object on this get S3 entity. If you say get object, that will give us the object that got created when this file is uploaded in S3. Everything is an object. When we upload this file, it is an object. We'll be able to point to this S3 object by using record dot get S3 dot get object. We'll use all that, but before we can use that, retrieve these contents from S3, once the file is uploaded, we need to use Amazon S3. Like DynamoDB earlier, Amazon S3 will give us access to the S3 service is equal to, we'll use the Amazon S3 client builders. Amazon S3 client builder dot default client will give us a client object. Hit Control 1, import Amazon S3. So this Amazon S3 and Amazon S3 client builder are coming from this SDK, which we have added earlier, AWS Java SDK S3. Now we can use this S3 and retrieve the object that just got created in a bucket in S3. S3 dot get object will fetch us an object from S3. We need to pass two things here, the bucket name and the key for this object. When this object is created in S3, when we upload this file, this will have a unique key, and that key is available inside this record. I'll show you that. So go in here, use the record. Let me add a semicolon at the end. Record dot get S3 dot get bucket dot get name. That's the first parameter that is required. Second, record dot get S3 again dot get object this time dot get key. So this object is pointing to the object that just got created. As a result, this event was fired, so we have access to that object. This key will give us the unique key for that object dot. So here I will get a S3 object back, but we want the contents, these contents that got created in S3. For that, you will say get object content. That will return the content of it. Assign this to a variable and see what it returns. Assign statement to a new local variable. You get a S3 object input stream, but from which you can read all this data, an array of JSON data. Call this S3 input stream. S3 input stream, do a Control Shift F to format it. Now we pass this S3 input stream to a object mapper. Let's do that. To do that, we define an object mapper up top. Object mapper from Jackson is equal to new object mapper. Use that object mapper in here. Dot. We need to pass in two things to the object mappers. Read value is the method. The read value method takes the input stream. That's the first thing. So pass in S3 input stream. And the value type is a little tricky. The value type is the POJO array. See this? This is a JSON array. So when we read this, each of these is our POJO, which we have created, the model object, which is this guy, patient checkout event. So it has first name, middle name, last name, and SSN, exactly what we have here. So here we need to pass in an array. So patient checkout event, open and close square brackets, dot class. That is the type which we get back from here. And we can convert it to a list very easily. You can pass it to arrays dot as list. Arrays dot as list. Get rid of that. So we are passing the array that this object mapper creates into a list. Hit Ctrl+1 to handle the exceptions, or we can define a throws. Let's surround this with try catch. And we have all the exceptions being handled. Get rid of these here. To-dos. Assign this statement to a local variable to finish our coding for now. These are patient checkout events. Let's render these events onto the CloudWatch logs. Sysout patient checkout event, so that when we upload this file to S3, we'll be able to see something in the S3 logs. So in this lecture, you have done a lot. You have implemented a PatientCheckoutLambda, which is responsible for handling the S3 event, which gets fired asynchronously when we upload this file later on to the S3 bucket that we create. And when it is uploaded, we get the notification. That notification has the information of the S3 bucket and also the object itself. We are using the S3, Amazon S3 API to read the contents of it, convert it into a Java list of POJOs. Later on, we'll loop through these events and send these events to the SNS. And another Lambda function will handle those events for us.